T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
about that?
Listen, we got to get down to business. We got a lot of things to do over the next 2 hours. I got a lot of things packed away in the tickle trunk. You're going to be excited to see what's inside. Mitchell Scruffy Blair's with us coming up in moments. Riding shotgun here in hour one. And then tonight, in hour two, there's only one NHL game tonight. It's in Edmonton. We're going to go live to Edmonton and be joined by Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton to preview the Oilers and the Stars. We got a whole lot of things to get to today, so I'll welcome you all inside. Scruffy as well. There he is. The man is with us. And Mitch, I'm not even going to let's get down to business right now, if you don't mind, as we open up with the quick six show topics and the big story, because I'm very excited to get your take on a few things NHL related. AJ Greer scored twice. AJ Greer scored twice and added a helper. Sam Reinhart and Carter Verhaeghe had a goal and 2 assists each, and the Florida Panthers spanked Nashville 8-3 last night. Florida scored a season-high 8 goals for the second time in a week. They did it here in Sunrise last Monday, 8-5, beating Vancouver. There were a lot of things that went on in the NHL tonight, last night that I want to discuss with you, but I want to ask you, what is it going to take before a coaching change is made in Nashville? This morning on NHL Radio, the boys, Scott and Gordy, were saying that Barry Trotz is clearly the most sympathetic of the 32 NHL general managers, that he has not fired Andrew Burnett yet. He said yesterday before the game he needs effing more out of these guys, and they give up the game's first goal 11 seconds into the contest last night. What's going on in Nashville that I don't see?
I wish I had the answer for that, Rod. I thought the same thing last night. I saw that score and I went, oh my goodness, like it's not getting any better in Nashville.
No.
And then I see the comments from Barry Trotz this morning, and I'm just like, what are we waiting for here? And it's not like Barry Trotz doesn't know what he's doing, because Barry Trotz has been great with the Nashville Predators. But here's a question about the Nashville Predators that needs to be asked.
Yep.
How much longer are they going to go with Jonathan Marchessault and Steve Stamkos? And is Steve Stamkos the guy that the Leafs need to turn the corner?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think they're going to go much further with those guys at all, because if we're declaring the Flames season over, then the Predators season is already over too, just shy of U.S. Thanksgiving. And so, it's great points by you. And here we are on a Canadian television show talking about a team in Nashville, but that's okay. It's the NHL and people care. The Predators were through here a few years ago, and I got good friends on that team. It was the rookie tournament in late September against the Panthers and the Hurricanes and the Lightning, and one of their staff members said to me, everything's different here under Trotzy, because they'd worked with or for David Poile for years and years and years. Barry was much more hands-on, somewhat in your face, because Poile was very reserved. I think we all know, David Poile by reputation anyways. But I think with Barry Trotz, it's gotten too far. And then a pro scout said to me at a game here just a couple of weeks ago, they're like, the problem in Nashville is not coaching. He didn't elaborate on what it is. But what are you going to do? And I guess the next question is, because inevitably he's going to have to fire Andrew Burnett. Inevitably. It may happen by the end of the day.
Yep.
Does Barry Trotz put himself on the bench?
Yes, because I think, and yes, the Nashville Predators have not had a lot of head coaches in their young NHL history. But Barry Trotz, when he was behind the bench, was when the Predators were at their best. Now, he doesn't have the same team that he had back when he was the head coach, but maybe he is what's needed. And I don't know, but I would say this. Yes, the Predators season is over. So if you're Barry Trotz and you come in and you have some success, is this a long-term thing? Or is this just I'm just doing this until the end of the year? Because I don't know if that's beneficial for Nashville.
And how many coach GM tandems do we see in the National Hockey League? Not very many. So,
That's true.
And then there's more. There's more. We'll take up the whole opening segment here in the National Hockey League and move on to some other things. I learned something this morning, which is great. Logan Cooley scored 4 straight goals and had an assist, and Utah beat Vegas last night 5-1 to avenge a home loss 4 days earlier to the Golden Knights. They're saying Logan Cooley, the first player in franchise history with 4 goals. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't like how they have always, since they moved to Salt Lake City, eschewed the history of the Coyotes and the Jets. And I ripped them in my commentary this morning. And were you aware that somehow or another there's some rare NHL stipulation that they just lopped off their history with the Coyotes and the Jets? And what the hell did they call it? Not a dormant franchise, but something like that. So the Utah Mammoth are officially a brand new, it's like an expansion team.
Yeah.
Did you know they did? I didn't know that. Have you always known that?
I knew they had done that because, and I may not have all the facts right here. So if I don't, I apologize.
You'll have more than me. You'll have more than me because I didn't even know any of it.
When the Arizona Coyotes were sold to Ryan Smith and became the Utah Hockey Club, now the Mammoth, there was a stipulation in there because if you remember, Gary Bettman didn't revoke the franchise from Arizona and their ownership at the time because there was that rink deal that was supposedly supposed to happen, and I think that's fell through, but I'm not sure. But Gary Bettman said that I am keeping that franchise alive for, I think, 5 years. So if Arizona was to come back to the NHL with that group in place, then they would inherit the Coyotes and the Jets for their numbers. I don't know what the phrasing of it is. You said dormant. I think that's close to it.
Yeah, but that's not what it is. Inactive. Inactive.
You're right. That's the word. Yep, that's the word. I remember hearing that when the sale was announced to Ryan Smith. But I was surprised until I actually heard, because Utah was in Winnipeg a few weeks ago, and they were talking about this, Dan Robertson and Kevin Sawyer on TSN. And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forget exactly what pretext it was they were talking, because someone from the Jets had done something, and I forget what it was. But anyhow, yeah.
I guess so. I'm not the only one. Okay. Kevin the Medium writes in. He says, good morning from snowy Maple Creek, Saskatchewan. He says, it's so cold here, I saw a penguin wearing a parka. Ooh, pa-dum-bum. Well, it's so hot here in South Florida, I saw a squirrel soaking his nuts in a fountain.
And yet you're wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, I got the AC just pumping. I got the AC pumping here in the RP Show studio. We'll be right back with a lot of football, more hockey, and some Lane Kiffin talk. Brush up on that, Mitch. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back. I told you this would be fun today. It's always so much fun with my boy Scruffy. By the way, rep the show you love. Shop the Rod Pedersen Show store today at rodpedersen.com. Click on RP Store. Hey, yesterday, Mitch, I was saying how much I fell in love with the country music singer who I thought was Emma Langley. I got in a rental car in Palm Springs, and I was driving around. I'm like, oh, it was on this radio was on a country station, so I don't normally listen to the radio like everybody else. I listen to podcasts. I'm like, what is this song? I said Emma Langley. Everybody's texting and saying it's Ella. You've heard of her? Ella Langley?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
okay,
Ella
I thought
Langley.
The girl from Yellowstone was the latest, hottest thing. Lainey Wilson. I can't keep up. All I'm saying is
There's a
Ella
lot of them.
Langley.
There's a lot of them, and Lainey Wilson is one, but Ella Langley is another one. You've never heard the song with her and Riley Green? I think it's the top song of the year.
No. Choosing Texas was the one. And I'm listening to this going, this reminds me of Tanya Tucker in the 70s or Charlie McLean. When you look at the radio, you're like, yeah. So Ella Langley, I'll be buying all her records, all her LPs. Oh, just the last thing on the Utah Mammoth. Vintage Sasko writes in on the Western Dodge text line 902-513, whatever it is. Hi, Reverend Rod and Bishop Blair. Franchise legalities are weird. I recently found out the Red Blacks were not an expansion franchise, but technically a revival of the Renegades, despite having an expansion draft. Mind blown. Okay, we don't understand how things go. We've established that. Point 2 of the Quick Six show topics. The Edmonton Oilers open a home-heavy stretch tonight against the Dallas Stars in the lone NHL game. The Nuge could return from an injury that sidelined him for the last 2 weeks as Edmonton tries to steady its 10-9-5 start. They sit 4 points back of Pacific, leading Anaheim. We're going live to Edmonton next hour with Kevin Karius. But, Mitch, what's your preview of tonight's big match at Rogers Place?
The Dallas Stars have been playing some very good hockey of late. Although they have lost Mikko Rantanen now, and they should be fortunate that they're only losing him for a game because he probably should have gotten 3 or 4 after what he's done the last couple of weeks. When teams go on long road trips, that first game at home is never as good as what you want it to be. The Oilers need to start making some... And we keep saying that the Oilers need to start making noise, but we keep saying this every year and they eventually do. But there seems to be a little more urgency this year with Edmonton because of what's gone on. And like you and I discussed I think last week, Vegas isn't that great right now. Toronto certainly isn't that great. Anaheim better than what people thought they were going to be. There are a lot of teams that haven't really figured out who they are yet. Dallas is one of them, but I don't know if Edmonton knows yet. And this will be an interesting game tonight just for the fact that it is Edmonton coming off a long road trip. How do they get back to getting back into things at home? And what's Dallas going to look like? Because we know that Dallas is always good. And Glenn Gullit comes back to Edmonton tonight. So yeah. I'll be interested in this one for a lot of ways.
Should be a really good game. And by the way, there's a million comments coming in. I encourage them. I can't get to them right now, but I will a little later when we have more time because I'm ripping through the topics here. But I did a little more digging into the Don Maloney comments with the Flames thing. You're not a Flames fan at all. And, I casually follow the team. I have a lot of friends with the team, on the team. And here's what the fans don't understand. Stick with me on this. Everybody's there. They're still revved about what Don Maloney said on the weekend, which I went and read the quotes. We didn't even know what the hell he is. President of hockey operations for the Flames. Because, as a Flames fan, Mitch, they got to be sitting there going, well, I thought Huska and Conroy ran the team. What the hell is he doing? And Maloney. And folks, you don't know how many guys there are behind the scenes. You have no idea. Guys that are never in front of the cameras at all, that are making the decisions. And Don Maloney is one of those guys in Calgary. Brad Pascal's another. Last I checked, Dave Nonis is another. I saw him just last year in the press box here. There's a million guys behind the scenes. You don't even know we're there. And with Maloney, they should have called him Don Baloney because he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything of substance. What did he say? We're not quitting. We're not throwing in the towel, basically is what he said. Was there anything he could have said that wouldn't rile Flames fans up? Like Jeff the Stamps fan wrote in here and goes, Flames fans didn't want to hear that. And I'm like, we didn't say anything of consequence that I saw. And here's my take, by the way. I'll land the plane on this. He was asked by Eric Francis, how do you feel about the first quarter of the season? He goes, unexpected. And tell me if I'm wrong on this, Mitch, but he said that, unexpected. And it's like, if you don't know, it's okay for us to all be surprised. But if you're in a high-ranking management role with a pro team, you should know what you have as a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're bad, yeah, we knew we were bad because we're young or we're injured or we're whatever. Or if you're good, we knew we were going to be good and we're playing up to. But to say you didn't see this coming, I would say that's fireable. That's a little scary. If you don't know, who knows?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, when I looked at Calgary at the end of last year, and they were a team that was right there. They were only a point or two out of being in the playoffs. And then they didn't do a lot in the offseason, but I thought some of these guys might take a step up. They haven't done that this year. Instead, they've taken a step back. Dustin Wolf is a very good goaltender, but I think, Rasmus Anderson has wanted out of Calgary for how long, and they won't trade him, and I think that's hurting them. As we talked about, I think it was yesterday, Jonathan Huberdeau has never been the same player that he was in Florida. Nazem Kadri, I think, wants out. I think there's a lot of stuff there behind the scenes that we're not seeing that's translating into the record that the Calgary Flames have. Because I think a lot of these guys just want to get out of Calgary. And for whatever reason, Conroy, Maloney, Notice, who I didn't even know was in Calgary until you just said that, I think a lot of them are hesitant to do that. And I don't know why. And maybe it's a part that, and this is a big gamble, Roddy, a huge gamble. The new rink's coming. Do they want to sort of rebuild from scratch with Gavin McKenna in the new building? Because here we go, because you know that he will be a franchise changer.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big risk to take.
It is what they want to do. It would be a Connor Bedard-worthy makeover with the Blackhawks. But again, you're dealing with the draft lottery. That's what you're saying with the gamble. It would take a lot of luck for that to happen with a franchise that hasn't had a lot of luck. And I will just say this. Last spring, the Flames came through here in South Florida. I spent a lot of time with their people. They were so positive But they're like that attitude of, if you don't want to be here, we don't want you here, get out. Everything was fresh with Ryan Huska, and all of a sudden just and nobody really knows what's happened. Anyways, that's enough on the Flames. That's my take on the Flames. But I'll just say this. It reminds me of Brock Sunderland when he was the GM of the Edmonton Elkamos, holding a news conference at midfield saying, we don't know what happened. And I'm like, why they were so bad. I'm like, if you don't know as the general manager, then who the hell should know? And he was fired like a month later. And that's the thing with Maloney. Didn't exactly inspire confidence for anybody, internally or externally, with his comments to Sportsnet. But that isn't overly shocking. Anyways, keep the comments coming, everybody. The text line is open, 902-518-3033. Point three, Monday Night Football, Christian McCaffrey gained 142 yards from scrimmage and scored a touchdown to lead the 49ers to a 20-9 victory over the Carolina Panthers. I didn't watch it. I was on a plane here from Southern California to South Florida. It takes a long time to get here. Didn't watch any of that, nor the Florida Panthers game. Everybody tells me it was an eyesore. 20-9, 49ers over the Panthers. Did you watch any or all of it?
I watched not all of it, but I watched most of it. It was a tough watch. You said okay. Christian McCaffrey only had 142 yards in total offense. I think that every time San Francisco touched the ball, it was in Christian McCaffrey's hands. Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions in the first half, and if Carolina was anywhere close to being decent last night, they'd have pulled off the upset. But it was almost as if the end of the first half, Kyle Shanahan looked at Brock Purdy and said, you're just going to basically hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey. And then maybe the odd throw here and there. Because every time I turned around, Christian McCaffrey was either catching a short swing pass or he was running the football. 142 yards, that's all he had? Wow.
That's what it was. By the way, we welcome all of our viewers, but especially the celebrities. Arlen Bruce III is watching, the two-time Grey Cup champion. He says, yes, sir, great day, RP and Mr. Scruffy. I might be putting myself out there by saying McCaffrey plays like Marshall Faulk and Purdy plays like Rich Gannon. I see a lot of football and might. Sure, but I'll say this. I looked at the records after the game. The 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks all have 8 or 9 wins. And then the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals. Is the NFC West the toughest division in the NFL? Because nobody was saying that going into the year.
Being a Seahawks fan, I wouldn't argue that, but I think there are some people that root for the Lions, Bears, and Packers that might be on line 2.
Yeah. Well, basically, there's a lot of good teams.
By the way, Arlen Bruce with an interesting comparison there. I think Christian McCaffrey is a different player than Marshall Faulk. But when he talks about Brock Purdy and Rich Gannon, I would almost equate Brock Purdy to being more like a Brad Johnson. Remember him?
Well, yeah, Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Buccaneers. Yeah.
Yep, Vikings quarterback. I would more say that Brock Purdy is Brad Johnson than Rich Gannon. But I know where he's coming from. But McCaffrey, to me, he is just Mr. Everything. The only thing about Christian McCaffrey that you can't depend on is his health, because for him to get through a whole season or even 3/4 of a season, if you get that, you got to be happy because he's usually hurt.
From the audience, Laverne in the Frontier City writes in, he says, speaking of soaking your nuts in the fountain, San Francisco receiver Jennings took a cheap shot in the kahunas from Carolina Panthers mooring last night. That was a tough game to watch, he says. Tony's watching in the Bridge City. He says, good morning, Rod and Mitch. Would you take Dustin Wolf in the Oilers net, Mitch? Signed Tony from Saskatoon. I mean, it's not happening. I'll just put it out there.
Absolutely, I would. There's a lot of
they're not
trading. I
trading.
take in the NHL right now ahead of Stuart Skinner. And it's funny because one of the stories I had the other day was Jesper Wallstedt of the Minnesota Wild. They could have drafted him. They didn't. Move on.
Speaking of moving on, Kirk in Toronto, watching on Game Plus TV, writes in, he says, not making excuses, but the Leafs have a boatload of injuries, which is contributing to their last place showing in the Atlantic Division. I'll say this again. The word in the arena in Palm Desert, California, amongst the hockey people was The Leafs lose Mitch Marner, and you can't tell me there's not a connection there, man. Like,
nope.
Yeah, not that Marner's necessarily lighting it up in Vegas, but he's having a pretty good season. And what do they say, Mitch? Be careful what you wish for, or you don't realize what you have till it's gone.
Yep.
So that's from him.
I completely agree. And all you have to do is look at number 34 and what he hasn't done this year.
Isn't he hurt?
Excuse me.
Isn't he hurt all the time?
He's apparently hurt right now. I don't know what's wrong with him because they never say anything as to what's the matter with these guys, especially Matthews in Toronto. Like, for all we know, he went back to Germany again like he did last year. But
I heard that on NHL radio.
He's ready to go for the Olympics.
Yeah. A quick one. Ron in Calgary says, why does Scruffy think so many players want out of Calgary without proof? Dustin Wolf signs 7-8 years. Yeah, he wants to stay with a losing club. Duh. Hang on, Mitch. Hold your water till after the break. We'll be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Glad to have you aboard, everybody, on Game Plus TV. Hey, we do the Junior Hockey Report every day for the Mad Greek Eatery. The Western Hockey League announced Kamloops Blazers forward J.P. Hurlburt has been named Player of the Week. A 17-year-old of Allen, Texas, tallied 6 points and a +2 rating in 3 games as the Blazers went 2-1. And Kelowna Rockets goalie Harrison Buttiger has been named the Goaltender of the Week. A 17-year-old from Wheat Ridge, Colorado, went 2-0 with a 1.53 goals against average and .955 save percentage this past week. The Dub Players of the Week are from Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and Allen, Texas. How about that? Okay, moving on. Point 4. I got to ask you this, Mitch. Is the Lane Kiffin thing on your radar at all? And for those that don't know, you're going to get up to speed here in a second. But this morning, I jump in my vehicle to drive to the gym. They're talking about it on the radio. I get to the gym. I jump on the treadmill. Every TV, they're talking about Lane Kiffin. And where's he going to go? The coach at Ole Miss. Is it on your radar as a football guy that you are?
Well, it's hard not to be. You know, if you follow the NCAA and you see where Ole Miss is, who, by the way, has their quarterback, who's a guy in the Riders neg list, Trinidad Chambliss. It does, but at the end of the day, I'm not as fired up about it as a lot of other people are. I find it interesting that Brian Kelly said today that his deal with LSU, he can't find other work. Funny, James Franklin found work just after leaving Penn State. I think, as we talked about a little while ago, Roddy, Brian Kelly, he's got no credibility right now with U.S. college programs.
Well,
so I guess to answer your question, yeah, I'm aware of it. Am I obsessed with it the way others are? No, I'm not.
Obsessed. Let me continue this. Let me continue this. Okay, you got it. You said it. You're not obsessed, but obsessed is an understatement for a lot of people in the football world. So here's the story for those that don't know. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin will announce his next move, either going to the Florida Gators or LSU Tigers, after the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. Athletic Director Keith Carter released a statement saying a decision on Kiffin's future is expected November 29th. That's Saturday, the day after the 5th-ranked Rebels play at rival Mississippi State. It could be an agonizing wait for the Tigers, the Gators, and the Rebels, although most outsiders believe Kiffin staying in Oxford is a long shot at best. Ole Miss does not play this weekend. The bye allowed Kiffin to meet with Florida and LSU officials. Well, that was on the weekend. He addressed this yesterday in a news conference, saying that he's not going to address it. And I'm thinking, this is the same guy. There's a lot of people hate Lane Kiffin. I don't have a problem with him. I don't know where you stand on Lane Kiffin. But this is the guy that 2 or 3 years ago said, what are we doing in college football? This has become pro. He was so mad with the new transfer portal rules that the players could jump around. And now he's going to do it. Like, that's the thing that bothers me, is how is Florida and LSU allowed to talk to him in season? That should not be allowed.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. If he's still the head coach, if he hasn't been let go like Kelly was, like Franklin was, I completely agree with you. Part of me wants to say that Lane Kiffin's decision is going to be very, like, if the Rebels win against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, that team's going to be probably a top 4 team going into the CFP, the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. So I would think that Lane Kiffin would want to stay to try and get a national championship. But if they lose, he's gone. And I think he ends up going to LSU because if you didn't know, his daughter goes out or is engaged to one of LSU's top players, a linebacker. So, I don't know. Like, it's just like the sands through the hourglass, Roddy, these are the days of our lives.
Oh, I know, but it's to me, it's weird. I'm trying to get my mind around it. Well, spending the weekend in Palm Desert, huge NFL and college football fans out there, just like it is here in South Florida. And I'm like, wouldn't you guys rather be talking about the games? No. 99% of the talk is where's Lane Kiffin going to go? And Mayday 10 writes in, he's watching on YouTube. He says, what if Lane Kiffin waits till Bama loses to Auburn in the Iron Bowl and DeBerg gets fired and Kiffin goes back to Bama as the head coach? As you know, he left there on bad terms under Nick
Yeah,
Saban.
Kalen DeBoer is not.
He's not going
Kalen
anywhere.
DeBoer is not getting fired at Alabama. The only way that Kalen DeBoer is getting fired at Alabama is if Nick Saban decides he wants to go back. And Nick Saban has said multiple times he is not going to go back.
No, absolutely not. So, okay, that's the extent. There will be more college football talk in the weeks ahead, but that's as much as I'm prepared to do today. Point 5, the Raptors keep winning. Brandon Ingram scored a season-high 37 points as the Raptors stretch their win streak to 8 games with a 110-99 victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's Toronto's longest winning streak since 2022. And since it is the Canadian hour of the show, I should mention this. Quick 6 show topics. The BC Lions will face the Edmonton Elkamos and Calgary Stampeders in Kelowna next season, while their home stadium of BC Place hosts the FIFA World Cup. The Lions will battle the Stampeders at the Apple Bowl on June 27th and then take on the Elkamos at the same venue on July 4th. Have you ever been to the football stadium in the Okanagan, given your vast experience broadcasting junior football? Because I have not.
I have not been to the fine city of Kelowna, British Columbia. Never have been.
Okay.
Have often wanted to go for obvious reasons, but I have never been there. So,
okay.
I don't know. But I do know this. The Kelowna market is one that the CFL would like to get into.
Oh, how about that? Oh, Dish.
So,
spill your guts. Spill your guts,
there
Mitch.
There you go.
Spill it.
I think that I think this is a test balloon because I don't think they want to go to Victoria because of the close proximity between Vancouver and Victoria. But I think they would be interested in moving into interior BC, much like they would like to get into Quebec City. And I don't know what the stadium at Laval looks like, and I don't know what the stadium there looks like, but I wonder if this has something to do with what was announced a couple of months ago.
Continue.
Well, obviously the Apple Bowl and the field Laval, you can fit 110 yards in. I don't know if their end zones are legit, if you know what I mean. Like Toronto's aren't, like Montreal's aren't. But is this maybe a way to say, you know what, if we do this, we can put some more seats in, we can do this, we can do that, and maybe we have a couple of teams. I don't know, but I do know that the CFL is interested in the Kelowna market. And if there's any area in Western Canada where they want to get to, I think it's Kelowna, ahead of Saskatoon.
I'm just writing that down for today's meme. Scruffy's hot take. He's
Well,
so good at him. 17,500 is what the stadium will be in Kelowna. I was having this discussion in Palm Desert on the weekend with a bunch of CFL fans. And
is that how big that place is? 17,500?
And there were some, no, it's going to be expanded to that.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
Okay.
But what we were saying was, if with these rule changes and field changes announced by Stuart Johnston, if you're not going to expand, what other possible reason would there, in expansion cities, what other reason would there be to make those changes? There's no reason to change the game at all, unless you're going to expand. So why won't you just admit it? Why won't they admit it? Unless you don't think, because I don't want to call them liars, but I don't see anything other path other than expansion for doing this. Nobody can see it.
I don't know. You know, Stuart Johnston did say in Grey Cup week that he is not interested in American expansion. That's what he says in November of 2025. See where this goes. But, you know, if you could get, because we've already established that a new CFL field can fit into the soccer stadium in Halifax. So now, if you could get the new field in the stadium in Quebec City and maybe one in Kelowna, now you have a 12-team CFL. Are we going to see that as early as 26, 27? No. But the seeds have been planted.
Well, I think Stuart Johnston's finding out fast that, and I've said this with you, being the commissioner of a pro sports league is a lot different than being president of TSN or a phone company. People are going to pay attention to what you see what you say. And unless he doesn't care how he looks, which I don't know a commissioner that doesn't, you know, to plant your flag and say we're not expanding, You better not then, because there will be those of us that will be on your ass, holding them accountable to that. Okay, Mitch, thank you for this. We got to let you run. Good job. As usual, he drops a stink bob and leaves. We'll be right back, everybody.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We got things rolling today, which I knew that we would. Mitchell does such a great job. The Western Dodge text line is open, 902-518-3033 to get your comments in here, there, and then also the YouTube chat is bumping as well today. I hope you're having fun. I hope this is like the 2 hours out of the day that you just really have fun, because I do. It is definitely the highlight of my day. So thank you for being a part of it. And hour two, we'll be going live to Edmonton, where the Oilers host the Dallas Stars tonight. Kevin Karius will be with us from Sports 1440 Edmonton. He is my oldest friend in this business. I met him on day 2 of broadcasting school. How about that? Mayday writes in. He says, hey, Rod, will the Cowboys beat the Chiefs? We're talking about the Thursday Thanksgiving Day matchup. Can the Cowboys beat the Chiefs, or will the Cowboys beat the Chiefs? They just beat the best team in the NFL on Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles. So, May Day 10, you watch this show every day. You know my thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys. We are good enough to win every week, but we don't. So coming off a short week and the emotional win over the Eagles, just so you know, if you are watching the ESPN shows and the NFL shows, they're saying this is the most hyped, biggest NFL regular season game of all time. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't even believe that. But said the Eagles game was a great measuring stick for the Cowboys. This Chiefs game will be the same. Chiefs come back and beat Indy in overtime. That was no small win for the Chiefs on the weekend. So the problem with the Cowboys, the defense looks great with the addition of Quinnen Williams. There's no doubt about that. But there's just too many things that go on with the Cowboys that people don't see. It was just the week before that we had to bench 2 players for shenanigans that went on in Vegas on the road trip. That doesn't happen with championship teams. So you didn't ask if they're going to win the Super Bowl, because that's a fairy tale. You asked if they could beat the Chiefs, or will they be? I'm going to say no, but don't come to me for betting advice. It's just they are the Cowboys are the team now that loses the games they're supposed to win and wins the games they're supposed to lose. And those hot and cold teams, hot potato, cold potato, they don't win. Not in the end. That's what I had to say about that. Mitchell really got him going with the CFL expanding to Kelowna talk. If there's one thing people like to talk about, it's expansion in sports, and specifically CFL fans. Let me just drop in on this sports update first for the Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The Edmonton Oilers have returned from a 7-game roadie and host the Dallas Stars in the lone NHL game tonight. The two teams face off after Edmonton ousted Dallas in 5 games to reach the Stanley Cup final last season. The Oilers snapped a 3-game skid with a 6-3 win at defending champion Florida on Saturday. That's the one thing that I've realized. I don't get too wound up in the hype and what I see amongst fans. The Oilers fans are a mature fan base. There's no two ways about that. They have their issues, but they're mature. And they weren't really celebrating this win here in Florida in November. And on the flip side, the Panthers fans were really busy rubbing it in the Oilers' face. We win when it matters. Come on. It was a big win for the Oilers. They're 2 points out of a playoff spot. They're going to be in the playoffs. I'm very interested to chat with Kevin Karius when he comes up next hour about where specifically the Oilers are at, because I'm done defending people. I'm done fighting with people. I mean, if people think the Oilers goaltending isn't good enough, then okay, fine. Have it your way. Stuart Skinner gets you to back-to-back Stanley Cups. You know, if I'd had a chance to chat with Grant Fuhr about Oilers goaltending on the weekend, I would have. A little late now, I guess. Grant Fuhr's doing color for the Coachella Valley Firebirds American Hockey League team. But, I mean, he was busy. He was taping stuff on the pregame show, and I didn't want to bother him. It's one thing I learned. Don't bother a dog when he's eating. Don't bother a man when he's working. So I don't. The 2025 Montana's Canadian Curling Trials continue with draws 9, 10, and 11 today in Halifax. Gimli, Manitoba's Carrie Anerson's rink remains the only unbeaten team in the women's round robin at 4-0. Winnipeg skip Matt Dunstone also boasts a 4-0 record in the men's standings. I'll tell you a story about Montana's. Me and former CFL offensive coordinator George Cortez used to go there every Wednesday night for the all-you-can-eat rib deal. Now, George, he's from Houston. They know their barbecue down there. And George is like, damn, this is as good a barbecue as you're going to find. And he won 5 Grey Cups with Calgary. Jeff, the Stamps fan, you'll have to help me with that. I think it's 5 Grey Cups with Calgary. Coached in the NFL with the Bills. Coached at Cal. Was the head coach for a time with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's retired in Houston now. Good friend of mine. We were talking about Montana's, and he goes, you know, Rod, I tell my friends, Yeah, Regina ain't that big, but we got everything you all got. But we only got one. We got everything you all got, but we only got one. I can sit and listen to George talk all day. Sometimes I just call him, George, talk to me. I just love that Texas accent. Producer Corey writes in and says, I actually really like Montana's and Moose Jaw. The staff are awesome. Yes, very underrated Montana's. Yeah, right. If the CFL got a expansion team in Kelowna, what would the team name be? Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the BC Interior Terrors. Now, it would be something like the Kelowna Peaches. How about that? Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, whose latest column at rodpeterson.com is posted. It's the top item right now, 10 WHL Things by Glenn Erickson. He says, I covered the Okanagan Sun for the Kelowna Daily Courier for a couple of years. The Apple Bowl had a natural turf surface. It'll need a bit of work for the CFL games, in my opinion. The one thing, and if I'd had more time, I would have got into this with Scruffy. The first thing that I saw with regards to the Touchdown Kelowna being announced for the BC Lions games next year, 2 of them, is the cost, the travel expenses. And to be honest, I don't even complain about the complainers anymore. I get it. If I'd had to pay for my ticket to the AHL game in Palm Desert on Sunday, I probably wouldn't have gone. At some point, the fans need to draw a line in the sand. And with this gentleman, it's not even the sports team's fault in this case. Kelowna is expensive. Are you going to fly? Are you going to drive? Hotels? Are you going to stay for the whole week or go travel back and forth? Either way, it's an expensive touch. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hey, Rod, he's watching on Game Plus TV. Quebec City is a hotbed for football. Their college games are sold out from what I hear. Makes sense for the CFL to look into that market for expansion. Yeah, that would be a great idea. Damn Scruffy for starting this discussion. CFL season's over, so this is what we got to talk about. Here we go. Yeah, thank you, Jeff the Stamps fan on Q. He says, George Cortez, Grey Cup champion, 1992, 98, 2000, 2001. 4 Grey Cups. But I feel like he's won 5, so it must have been a 5th somewhere else. Oh, with us. Never mind. 2013. Saskatchewan Roughriders. When we were going to... Wasn't he ROC? I think, yeah, he was ROC in 2013. Time flies, man. Jason in Red Deer says, the Cowboys are the Oilers. Lose to Buffalo and win against Florida. No, because the Oilers at least make it to the championship final. Did I tell you how excited I am to chat with Kevin Karius next hour from Edmonton Sports Talk, 1440 a.m., just to get his take? And he's a good hockey man, Kevin Karius. Do the Oilers need... I guess my point on that is everybody says the Oilers need a goalie, and at this point I'm done arguing. I guess you need a goalie. Okay. Even Bob got lit up here last week, allowing 5 against the Vancouver Canucks. The nice, fortunate thing was the Panthers were able to score 8. Everybody wants a shutout every game. As Gary Echeverry used to say, our fans get pissed off if we give up a yard. Best quote from Etch. Never's a long time. The RP Show brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. And while we're at it, Tony Plater was down in Vegas on the weekend. I saw that, taking in the Raiders game. Does your message stand out at Outlaw Communications with Tony Plater? We make sure it does. Tony's got 35 years of communication and leadership expertise. From media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content, he'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Dag nabbit, have we got through everything today? Oh, so far. Coming up in hour 2, we'll do it all over again. More audience participation with you. And we'll be going across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, talking a little bit of the Golden Knights. But to be honest, it's all downhill from here. I already learned today that the Utah Mammoth franchise is a new franchise. It's not a continuation of the Arizona Coyotes and Winnipeg Jets. And I don't know how that got past me, but there's a hell of a lot of information floating around in the world. It's hard to stay up on everything. But I learned that this morning. So we'll talk all these topics and a little more when we come back after this, everybody. Get the text line rolling, 902-518-3033, and we'll return in a jiff. You're watching the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk show here on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
We have liftoff. It's the RP Show. It's great to be here. In this perilous trade, it's great to be anywhere, I'll tell you that. Coming to you on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network. Coming up today, Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. There is only one NHL game tonight, and it is at Rogers Place in Edmonton. Kevin Karius, my oldest friend in the broadcasting business, will be joining us. Not that he's old, just I met him on the second day of broadcast school, and we've been thick as thieves ever since, as my mom would say. We're back in the Florida studio. We're ready to talk sports. Let's go. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Point one, we'll talk about the National Hockey League and some notes, just a bit of a roadmap here of our quick six show topics, which we do every day. NHL tonight. Well, that's point one. Oilers Stars. So then point two will be NHL last night. Some interesting things went down. Point three, Monday Night Football. Point four, Lane Kiffin. Point five, the hottest team in the NBA is the Toronto Raptors. What? And point six is some news out of the Canadian Football League. So the CFL fans are going to want to stay tuned for that. But here's what we're paying attention to. AJ Greer, or at least me, scored twice and added a helper. Sam Reinhart and Carter Verhaeghe had a goal and 2 assists each, and Florida beat Nashville 8-3 Monday night. It's interesting. I didn't watch any of that game. I was flying home from Palm Springs to South Florida. I didn't watch any of it. But if you were watching yesterday, I made my picks, and I said the Panthers are going to win for a variety of reasons, but the biggest is because it was the dad's trip. And come on, let's be honest. We all play better when our parents are there or somebody that we care about, that girl maybe. You know, when we were in high school, she's sitting in the corner of the stand. You kick a little better. I remember when I was a goalie, I remember my wife came to watch a rec game that I was playing, and they couldn't get a pee by me. Normally, I didn't care. This was rec hockey, but I had somebody there watching. Teammates came up to me and said, can she come to every game? No. Anyways, I knew the Panthers would win, but I didn't think they'd win by 8-3. And the point of all of this is AJ Greer scores 11 seconds into the game. Before the game, Nashville Predators general manager Barry Trotz told the media that he needs effing more out of the players. And then 11 seconds into the game, they give up the game's opening goal to AJ Greer. Like, in coach speak, do you need to be a coach to realize that when you're giving up a goal in the opening 11 seconds, you're not ready to play? Dare I say, you don't care. And that's where the Nashville Predators are at. And we're sitting here wondering, what is taking so long for the coaching change? I talked about this last year when the Predators sucked. In the first year with Andrew Burnett on the bench, and the first year with Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos, they haven't gotten any better. As a matter of fact, they got worse. And I was the one that was saying, well, Barry Trotz has been a coach. He's coached 1,000 games. He didn't like getting fired, so he doesn't want to fire Andrew Burnett. It's getting to a point where he's going to have to. And the question is, does he put himself on the bench? You know he doesn't want to do that. So now the watch is on. Now, point 2B is what happened in Salt Lake City last night. And today is a win because I learned something already. Logan Cooley scored 4 straight goals and had an assist as the Utah Mammoth beat the Vegas Golden Knights 5-1 to avenge a home loss 4 days earlier to Vegas. And I feel like this is a blossoming little rivalry here. Dylan Genther had a goal and an assist for Utah. Karl Vejmelka stopped 33 shots. For the Knights, Ivan Barbashev scored, and Carl Lindbaum made 20 saves. And I was aghast because I am I'm a sports historian. I hate how the teams in the league, well, not the leagues, but some teams don't honor the alumni in the past and the record books and so forth. The NHL is pretty good at it, but some teams are not. And I'm like, what do you mean the first player in Utah Mammoth history to score 4 goals? Somebody must have done it for the Arizona Coyotes and Winnipeg Jets. And as it turns out, Brad Richardson did it in 2019 with the Coyotes, and Keith Tkachuk did it in 96 with the Jets. And then an alert reader to my columns and commentaries at rodpeterson.com wrote in and said, no, Rod. The Arizona Coyotes and their predecessor, Winnipeg Jets 1.0, are listed as an inactive franchise, and this Utah franchise is an entirely new franchise, like an expansion franchise. And I'm like, how did that slip by me? But that's okay. I don't know it all. So there's a few things at play there that I'm not going to get into here in terms of, so whenever somebody walks back into the Valley of the Sun in Arizona and wants an NHL team, they'll just pick right up with that old franchise if they want it. I don't know why you would. I think that franchise might be cursed. But anyway, yeah, the one in Utah is an entirely new franchise. Now, so the record book's out the window, which is kind of sad, but at least when they say any record set moving forth is the first time in franchise history. I don't really know why you would want that if you're Ryan Smith, but it is what it is. For instance, it's like the Minnesota Wild had to fight tooth and nail to get the green and gold rights to the jerseys that the Dallas Stars own from the Minnesota North Stars days. They wanted it. Utah can give a rat's ass. Before I move on to football, there is a U.S. Thanksgiving adage amongst the hockey people. Our Canadian viewers will know this, but a lot of our new U.S. viewers may not unless you're a hardcore hockey fan. And that is, with Thursday being U.S. Thanksgiving, because we Canadians celebrate it differently. We do it in October. There's a saying that if you're in a playoff spot in the NHL at U.S. Thanksgiving, 80% of those teams go on to make the playoffs. And to be honest, I used to get all lathered up about this stat. Like really lathered up about it. Now, a few years later, I don't really go by it at all, to be honest with you. One guy that gets really worked up about it and is a big believer in it is our good friend Scott Laughlin from Sirius XM NHL Radio. He was on this show last week. But what really finished it for me, frankly, was the Florida Panthers, the team for which I cover and follow here in South Florida. 3 years ago, not only were they not in a playoff spot at U.S. Thanksgiving, they were not in a playoff spot for 72% of the regular season. Yet, got hot at the end, made the playoffs, and went all the way to the Stanley Cup final before losing to the Golden Knights. So add this to the bin of analytics that don't really matter, but are fun to talk about. And furthermore, as I was going back and doing some film study of the shows that I do, last week's Cats and Bolts podcast, Florida's most watched hockey show that I host. Just last week, the Tampa Bay Lightning were the owners of the final wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. 1 week later, actually less than a week later, they're in first place in the Atlantic Division. So the analytics do tell you that the standings are tighter than they've ever been. The games are closer than they've ever been. So I don't think you're going to hear me talking about the U.S. Thanksgiving adage anymore. And I don't mean diddly. RP show is brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. They bring you our NFL picks weekly. Point 3 is Monday Night Football. Christian McCaffrey gained 142 yards from scrimmage and scored a touchdown to lead the San Francisco 49ers to a 20-9 victory over the Carolina Panthers. McCaffrey's big night helped the Niners overcome 3 picks from Brock Purdy and remain in playoff contention. Headed down the stretch, they improved to 8-4, while Carolina fell to 6-6. Now, we've been on the air on Game Plus now for into 2 hours, and I've yet to bring up what I wanted to from last hour was our poll question today. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. From impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. They market this show, and we're growing like gangbusters, so you might want to think about it. Who is the NFL Coach of the Year? Mindful of the fact we're just past the halfway point, a lot of things can happen and will over the next 6 weeks. But the options for NFL Coach of the Year that we threw out there are a lot of great options, by the way. But New England's Mike Vrabel, they have the best record in the National Football League at 10-2. I think we all knew the Patriots would be better. Did we think that they would be the best team in the NFL at this point? Going into Week 13, I don't think there's too many people outside the Boston area that would have thought that. And by the way, Vrabel's leading the poll, but the others are Shane Steichen of the Colts we put in there, and Ben Johnson of the Chicago Bears, and then the always popular other. Let me hit a quick refresh here. Here it is. Here's the Mike Vrabel, 48% leading with our voters on YouTube. You can also vote on Twitter as well. Follow us at Rod Pedersen Show. 48% for Mike Vrabel of the Patriots, 28% Ben Johnson of the Bears, 14% Shane Steichen of the Colts, and 10% other. Because there's a lot of great teams in the NFL this year. The NFC West, following Monday night's games and the 49ers win, everybody's got 8 or 9 wins amongst Seattle, Los Angeles Rams, San Fran, and then you got the Cardinals, who are always bad. And, our Hour 1 Scro host, that's not bad, Scruffy, our co-host on Hour 1, has called the Chicago Bears frauds at 8-3. We're about to find out, but your record is what you are. Let me jump in, take a dip into the pool. What do we have here? Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, there's still plenty of football to be played regarding the Coach of the Year race. Yeah, but who do we expect to take a nosedive from here on in? And it's interesting. It's you see why the American shows sit and talk about the NFL for hours and hours and hours and hours, days, because there's so much to talk about. That's why we try to mix in hockey, because there ain't nobody else talking about hockey on these channels at this time of day in this country. But it's not like the hockey. Let's do the hockey. Let's do that hockey. Montreal, come back to earth. Pittsburgh Penguins, come back to earth. Chicago Blackhawks have lost 3 in a row. Do we expect that to happen to the Colts? No. Do we expect Daniel Jones to go in the crapper? Indiana Jones? I don't think so. Is he the reason the Colts are winning? Well, and Jonathan Taylor. But in New England, the Mike Vrabel staff, which, Josh McDaniels a holdover, but they're making Drake May look like Tom Brady. That's coaching, I think. Yes, it's 11 minutes after the hour. Thank you, Carlos in Indianapolis, for those that observe. Just be positive. Give that a try. And I'll take my own advice. Jeremy writes in, he's a Detroit Red Wings fan. He says, the Wings' 100-year celebration is sure celebrating the alumni who built this hockey town, living and gone. It's very special. I like what's going on in Detroit for a variety of reasons. I love me some Steve Yzerman. I would have said he's the last player to be I think it's 19 seasons he spent with Detroit, to be a one-team guy. But he's not the last guy. Sid and Ovi come to mind. There's so much heat on Steve Yzerman in Detroit. You would never think that town would turn on Stevie Y, yet they were. And up until last night, the Red Wings were in first place in the Atlantic Division. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. And I do love the way the Red Wings are honoring the history there. They got a great history in Detroit. They should. Jason is watching in Red Deer. He writes in, he says, as a Flames fan first, but Golden Knights fan second, I can't help but wonder on the progression of Carter Hart and how soon we may see him as a backup for the Golden Knights. Oh, you're not going to see him as a backup. You're going to see him as a starting goalie in like a week. Was ineligible to play legally until December, NHL rules. They didn't sign him to be a backup. And to give a guy $2 million, that's a lot of money for a backup, even in today's NHL. They signed Carter Hart to play him. And don't get me started on that whole topic, because all the bitching and moaning about the Oilers and their goaltending. I'm like, you could have had Carter Hart. He's from there. We all know why you didn't sign him. Afraid of the backlash, and that's fine. But how bad are you concerned about winning? That's all. Where was I? Suds Regina brings you the RP show. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Point 4, I'll have to finish these later, but point 4, is the Lane Kiffin thing on your radar? If you're an American football fan, it is. If you're in Canada, you're saying, who? Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin will announce his next move, likely Florida or LSU, after the Egg Bowl, against Mississippi State. Athletic Director Keith Carter released a statement saying a decision on Kiffin's future is expected this weekend, the day after the 5th-ranked Rebels play at rival Mississippi State. It could be an agonizing wait for the Tigers, the Gators, and the Rebels. Although most outsiders believe Kiffin staying in Oxford is a long shot. It's all anybody's talking about with regards to college football. And I'm like, it's taken me 5 years. I finally just get my mind around the conferences and the FCS versus the FBS. And then this hits. We're heading into the meat of the schedule. This is where it'll be make or break for the 12 that'll make the college football playoff. And all anybody wants to talk about is Lane Kiffin and where he's going to go. It's why, and he's the guy that bitched about the players and the movement and the transfer portal and how we've become pro, and now he's doing it himself. What a lesson there is there on that. When we come back, we're going live to Edmonton, site of tonight's lone NHL game with Kevin Karius. You're watching across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hour 2 is brought to you in part by the Mad Greek. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. Check out their menu at themadgreekeatery.com. I don't know what Karius is not Greek. I'm assuming it's Ukrainian. Would I be right on that, Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton?
I think it's Lithuanian.
Okay, gotcha. Hey,
Do you
I appreciate you racing.
Normie, my dyslexic Lithuanian cousin?
Darius Kasparaitis.
Well, Karius Kasparaitis.
Right. I saw him playing an alumni game here a couple of years ago in South Florida. He can still play. Hey, I appreciate you racing home to get on the air with us today up there in Edmonton. The only game in the NHL tonight is in Edmonton with the Oilers home to the Stars. Oilers been on the road for a while. How are you on the Oil as of today?
Well, the easiest way that I've been explaining them on Sports 1440, Normie, is that they've been treading water right now. They got a 5-game road trip out of the way. They got a 7-game road trip out of the way. They have been playing a lot of hockey. They're right up there for the most games played. So we all know what their record is right now. And I would just say the easiest way to explain it is they're treading water. And right now is a time of the season where they got to make a move. So they got Dallas tonight. Then they got 3 more days off. They got Seattle on Saturday afternoon, and then some home games. So I think this is where you're going to see them make a bit of a move here in the standings.
Well, when you say make a move, I thought you meant personnel-wise. Like, it's got to be exhausting following that team every day, but it's good for guys like you and me. It's good for your show. But what do they need to do?
Well, I think, to be honest, right now I think you would be preaching a bit of patience. They've changed a couple of things systematically moving forward. Everyone has talked about their goaltending ad nauseum for a long, long time. Hey, I heard you talking about Carter Hart here. That was never, ever going to happen. And Carter Hart's numbers aren't even as good as Stuart Skinner's in their career. And Skinner has way more playoff experience than Hart. Then you think about everything else that you want to talk about, and you said it, is the risk worth the reward? Not a chance. So if there's a move out there, they'll make it. But right now, what goaltender or what move would you make that fits the salary cap and make sure that the apple cart isn't unbalanced here and toppled over? They got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins coming back on Saturday. Kapanen will be coming back. You know, Zach Hyman's back now. Bouchard right now playing with Ekholm. They're back to where they were a little while ago, going back to last year. So I see things. I see the answer. Okay, and what your question is, I see the answer coming from within in the short term. Maybe something happens down the road towards the trade deadline, but right now the answer lies within.
Well, you've seen firsthand spectacular goaltending play, 1990-91 Broadcasting Bombers, Mount Royal College. You've seen it, right? You were on the ice at the same time. So my question...
Was I on the ice? I would have been at the other end, probably. Remember, I had to introduce myself to the end of it? It was all set up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all year long, played a whole season. He is my defenseman, never met him. Anyways, well, I guess you were playing forward by then, but you were a D in junior. My point is, how do you make it to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals with bad goaltending? You don't, in my opinion.
No.
But.
Think about it last year even. Okay, so 2 years ago, they're a goal away from going to overtime in Game 7. Last year, the Oilers have home ice in a best-of-3. Home ice in a best-of-3, and they just totally laid 2 eggs in Games 5 and 6. They were right there, and they failed to execute in front of the goaltending. And the goaltending, you can talk about it till you're blue in the face. Last year, go to the Dallas series. Stu Skinner outplayed Ottinger. He did it the year before.
Oh, by far.
To me, there are so many other problems this year. Their defensive play in front of the goaltending has been bad. It's getting better. There's a little more attention to detail, a little more awareness, but it's still got a long ways to go. And as I said, Normie, I think that's going to start changing right now.
Let me ask you something. They've been through so many coaches there. How is it and why is it that Chris Knobloch's had the success there that he's had when it's been so hard for other guys. And I don't doubt it's extremely hard to coach the Edmonton Oilers in that market. Why has he had the success he's had?
You could go back to Todd McClellan, and I heard you talking about Detroit making the playoffs. Todd McClellan should have never, ever been fired here. I mean, that was a colossal mistake by Peter Chiarelli, who made so many mistakes management-wise here. McClellan still is a hell of a coach. The guys that came in between after that, there were some, like if you want to talk about Jay Woodcroft, there was a little bit of a disconnect at times with the players and Woody. But the other thing too is when Woodcroft got fired, the players were genuinely upset because they knew that they had a good team and they knew that they were responsible, a la what's happening in Nashville right now. So yes, Knobloch has reaped the rewards of the last 2 seasons, but you got to think about all the players that are better now than were when they were here 4 or 5 years ago when McClellan and guys like that were here. So he's just reaping the benefits of those players being mature, better, older, and been through the wars a bit more.
Okay, a good answer. Jeremy writes in, he's a Detroit fan. He says, Detroit's happy to have Todd. Great coach. Good for this Wings team. Hey, by the way, on that Nashville thing, we're talking about it, like Trotsy said yesterday, I'm not firing Burnett to let these guys off the hook. How long does that go? Then they go out and get spanked 8-3.
Just his line too about, going back a couple of years about you're not going to the U2 concert and it end up to be the FU tour after that because they were so mad at Trotz. So I don't know how long it can go on. And again, these guys got to get better. I mean, think about what Todd McClellan did after Game 1 this year. He said, what are we doing here? What are the players doing? How long are we going to let this go? And that's what happened. And then Detroit turned it around. And there will be lulls. Detroit's going to go on a bit of a run here where they don't have the success that they're having right now. And Nashville's going to win a few games in a row. That's just the ebbs and flows of the game.
What's new since the last time I've had you on, but it's been far too long. We're on Nevada television daily now on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. On that. What do you? Yeah, thank you. It's awesome. Well, thank you to them, and thank you to producer Corey. He's the guy that lined it all up. But what are you seeing out of the Golden Knights? They're very up and down from what they're used to.
Well, I mean, they miss Alec Pietrangelo a lot. When that's such a key cog on the back end. And, they've had other injuries with Stone and things like that and Hill. I mean, they're if there's a team that's treading water along with the Oilers, it's Vegas. But we all know that they're going to be there at the end of the day, and it's going to be Vegas and the Oilers battling it out for whatever position they are in the Pacific Division. So I think it's just another team that's played a lot of games with you add up all, the playoff games and the Stanley Cup appearances, and the team's getting a little bit longer in the tooth. So I would just say that they're a team treading water like the Oilers and waiting to make a bit of a move here.
I'm really interested to get your take on this, and I don't know how much time, you probably don't spend any time on the Flames on your show, but you and I went to college in Calgary. You worked there. We both love the city. What do you see from the Flames?
I had a conversation with Frank Saravalli about that this morning, and I said, well, Nashville and the Flames are kind of in the same boat. And he ripped me a new one saying, no, they're not, because Nashville's an older team, Calgary's a younger team. And then I said, well, hang on a second here. So you want to move your two pieces in Rasmus Anderson, who's an older defenseman, Nazem Kadri, who's not a young guy anymore, just played his 1,000th game, has 3 years left on his contract, but would be probably a hot commodity because he could fill a second line center role. I just don't see his future in what the Flames have. He called, like Frank was saying about Zane Parekh being a number one defenseman. I don't see that in Parekh from what I've watched him so far this year. I think that they got a lot of work to do in Calgary. And the one thing that I will say that I mentioned, that they want to have a good team when they open the new building, and that's still a couple of years away.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I read the quotes. I didn't see the interview with Maloney, but I read his interview with Eric Francis. I said they should call him Don Baloney because he didn't really say anything of substance, And he said that this was unexpected, their start, which I think it was for all of us. But in a guy in a higher-ranking hockey position like that, you should know what you have as a team. For him to say this was unexpected, that didn't fly with me. What did you think of his interview and his comments?
I get it, both sides, and I see everyone talking about if you want to call it a power struggle or some sort of maybe just some friction between himself and Craig Conroy. Maybe that's happening too because that's been discussed. I don't get a lot of the stuff that comes out of Calgary, to be honest with you, because they made a lot of moves. They picked up some younger players, but are those players good enough to take you to the next level? How many times have we seen if you don't have a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 draft pick that's you're drafted and developed and turned into a half-ass superstar, you got nothing. And they don't have that there. You could talk about Perek, but man, I think he's got so much, such a long way to go. It'll be interesting to see how they handle him moving forward here.
Kevin Karius with us from Sports 1440 Edmonton. You talk a lot of NFL on your show. Our poll question today is, who is the NFL Coach of the Year? The three I came up with, and fourth being other, are Mike Vrabel in New England, Shane Steichen in Indy, Ben Johnson in Chicago, or other. But there's a lot of guys that have done great jobs. Who would you vote for right now?
Mike Vrabel. That's who I'd be going. Yeah. I bet, is he getting a lot of the love on your line then?
He is leading with 48%. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Johnson, you can talk about a bit of a turnaround. It's a softer schedule that the Bears have played. But you know what? I'm looking forward to this game on Friday. The Bears going to Philadelphia. The Eagles, saw that lead disappear. There's so much bickering off the field with the Eagles and A.J. Brown and everyone else. And if the Bears can somehow sneak a game out there, imagine that. And imagine if Dallas somehow beats Kansas City on Thanksgiving Day. Now all of a sudden, you got something cooking in the NFC East with the Cowboys chasing the Eagles. And everyone thought that division was done. And looking forward to see the outcomes of those two games.
I'm biased, so I have to recuse myself from this discussion as a Cowboys fan, which I became a Cowboys fan when you and I, to quote my mom, were thick as thieves. I never watched the NFL. I went to Calgary. The Cowboys were just getting good. I'm like, that Aikman guy's cool. And I've cheered for them ever since. What?
Not that all I remember, back is, they make the big trade and they get the draft picks and they get Herschel Walker out and they get Aikman, they get Emmitt Smith. They bring in Charles Haley. They bring in a lot of other guys. And they turned into be a team of the 90s. But we haven't seen anything. Haven't seen anything from them, Normie, for a long time.
Well, do you think I don't know that? I talk about it here every day. But my point is, they are saying this is the biggest regular season NFL game of all time, Chiefs and Cowboys on Thursday. And I don't see that. I don't feel like it's that big. But you think it is?
Well, it's going to get the most ratings. It's going to get the most eyeballs. We had Julian Edlow on this morning from DraftKings Network. He said the handle for this one for a regular season game is probably going to be the highest that they'll have ever seen so far in a regular season game, not a playoff game.
Okay, well, maybe it is. Jeremy writes in, he says, Quentin Williams, great move. Well, who's your NFL team? I've never known. Who's your NFL team?
Well, I'll tell you, because when we were growing up in Saskatchewan, we had Detroit Cable. And so it was WDIV in Detroit. And the Lions were so bad. But for some reason, I started liking them because of guys like Chris Spielman and Wayne Fonts was the coach. So I liked them. And then, because of where things went, I did take a liking to San Diego, to the Chargers. But when they moved to LA, I just said, I can't move with you. So still, if I'm picking a team, it's the Lions.
All right. What about Mort Krim and Carmen Harlan? And Mel Carr, superstar.
Mel Farr, superstar.
Mel Farr, right. Mel Farr. Sorry.
Yeah. Here, Mel Farr Ford. We can't fly either, or whatever, how that commercial went. Yeah, Mort Krim. Well, how about, what's his name? The guy that sold he was a news guy. Not Mort Krim, but the other guy, Billy Bonds. Remember Billy Bonds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Billy Bonds and Mort Krim used to terrorize Detroit like you and I did the Electric Avenue back in the day.
Well, I'm going to tell a quick story with Billy Bonds. We came on the air that one time, and he just went like this: "Good evening, Detroit. My drinking problem has been well documented, but we never went around murdering anyone." He goes, "Good evening, Detroit. The third murder this weekend," or whatever he says. Then he goes on and on and on.
Sounds like me at a 12-step meeting. That's why Mort Krim would just go away for a while.
Well,
they would never explain where. Yeah.
And Billy Bonds too, Normie. He was the guy that he said, with the Girl Guide cookies, they said, can we have a little plug? And they said, no, you can't do a plug. So during the newscast, he brought all these cookies out and he went, "I'm not able to tell you about these double wafered thin because they said, Billy, they gotta buy advertising." So he just went on and on and on. And he was one of a kind when it comes to news anchors, for sure.
Surprised he wasn't fired. Glenn's watching in medicine hat. He says, Bill Bonds, Fred Hickman. Oh yeah, those were the greats.
Yeah.
Back to, listen, the gentleman brings up Quinnen Williams, and I'm jaded on the Cowboys for the reasons you mentioned earlier. There's no plan. You trade Micah Parsons. Did you think going into the year they were going to have to acquire Quinnen Williams? I'm the fan of a plan. I think winning teams have a plan, and I don't see a plan in Dallas. Or is it a new era where these grab bag moves are the way you got to do it? I don't know.
Well, we were talking about that today, and when you're building teams, it seems that you can find the outside rush edger easier than you can find the interior defensive lineman. So if they're building that plan, that's a plan. If they're building that team from the inside out, and they did make some moves, and picking up Wilson as well, they've got some good young linebackers. So I think the defense is getting better. It's not where you are going to win a division or let alone a Super Bowl, but it's getting better. And think about it even after the game against Philadelphia, Norm. Everyone's going, "Oh, man, these guys are going to Philly's going to put a 40 burger on them." And they shut them down after that. They shut them down. The Eagles can talk about how they changed their style, changed what they were trying to do, but you could feel the momentum swing in that game many times. And the Eagles' defense is no screaming hell either. But, I mean, you got to give Dallas some credit here. We'll see what they do against KC, and looking forward to it.
We, as in the Cowboys, had to bench George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb for the opening series in Vegas because of a road trip violation. It's not about talent in Dallas. It's a culture problem. You're big on culture, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. I always go like, when a new coach comes in, they always say, "Oh yeah, well, I'm going to bring in a new culture." Well, and I always want to ask, what's your definition of culture? So what's your definition of culture, Norm?
We don't have time. We got 30 seconds, but Corey Mace did it in Saskatchewan, and your mom must be happy because her Riders won.
Yes.
Right? The guy changed the culture. He did.
She texted me like 1 second after the last play.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be with him Saturday night. I'll ask him how he did it. Okay. I'm coming home to speak with Lauren Mooner-Mulliken and Corey Mace. It'll be fantastic. Yeah. Okay, Kev. Wow. Thanks for the time, Dickie. Enjoy the game tonight.
Army. Take care, buddy. Have a good one.
The fantastic Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. Check him out. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover here on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show. And by the way, we are brought to you in part by CoolBet. Claim your welcome bet bonus up to $200 with a promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only. Here's what's going on this Tuesday in sports, brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The Boston Red Sox have acquired right-hander Sonny Gray from the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals will receive righty Richard Fitz and prospect Brandon Clark. Gray went 14-8 with a 4.28 ERA for the Redbirds last season. Meanwhile, Shohei Ohtani plans to play for Japan in next year's World Baseball Classic. The two-way Los Angeles Dodgers star made the announcement on social media Monday night. Ohtani helped Japan win the 2023 World Baseball Classic, striking out then Angels teammate Mike Trout for the final out of the championship game against the USA. From the NFL, referee Alex Moore's crew made a mistake by penalizing Kansas City Chiefs right tackle Jawan Taylor for a face masking violation on Sunday, erasing a game-tying touchdown by Travis Kelce in Week 12. CBS analyst Tony Romo also erred by suggesting Andy Reid could have challenged the call. He couldn't. The NFL expanded face mask calls for replay assist this season, but it wasn't used here, so the errant call went uncorrected. The Chiefs overcame both the bad call and an 11-point fourth quarter deficit in winning in overtime to salvage their season. I'm going to come back on that in a second with a pretty good story about it. And here is breaking news that Olympics fans, certainly Canadian swimming fans, will be interested in. The International Testing Agency says Canadian swimming star Penny Alexiak has been given a 2-year ban from competition for an anti-doping rule violation. If you follow international swimming, which a lot of us do, and the Olympics, of course, the ITA said in a release issued today that Alexiak accepted the suspension for committing 3 whereabouts failures between October of 2024 and June 2025. But how about this? The suspension ends July 14th, 2027, just before the next Summer Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028. That's no joke. She's not going to be able to compete internationally for 2 years, but at least she'll be able to be back because she's still young. Huge star in the swimming world. Now suspended, but will be able to participate in the LA Olympics in 2028. Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store, Moose Jaw. Plenty of time still left in today's show, but I'll tell you a story. I was on all of this. I was the guest speaker at a banquet. It was the Canadian Football Officials Association. And to be honest, it was a lot more fun than you'd think because football officials, they're a lot like cops. Not like they have anything wrong with either one of them or a problem with either one of the groups of them, but they're not the most gregarious people in the world. And the other speaker was Mike Pereira from the NFL on Fox. And the questions that came from the refs were outstanding. I gave my presentation and then opened it up for questions. And the guys were like, did anything ever happen in a game that you didn't know what was going on? I'm like, yeah, almost every game, but I'm not a referee. And they laughed, and they're refs. And they said, since the advent of video replay, it's changed everything. And they said the coaches don't even know the rules. I mean, that's why how they're like cops. The refs know the rules because that's their job, just like cops know the law, just like that's their job. So anyways, there's a one ref, Ron Bars. He said he made a call, and he's standing next to the coach, and he's like, you can challenge that, right? Coach didn't even know. I mean, it's very difficult. That's the one thing I don't miss about football play-by-play. The hockey rules I've got down pretty good, but the football rules are wackadoodle, especially the ones between American football and the Canadian Football League. And now I'm announcing games here in Florida, and the refs here just as soon as they found out that I spent 20 years in the Canadian Football League, their eyes just lit up. Oh, tell us about the 55-yard line. I'm like, well, it's going away. Don't worry about it. Tell us about the Rouge. They just get so excited about the rules. But the coaches don't get as excited about them as they clearly should. Anyways, overtime coming up next. Last chance to get your questions and comments in. 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line. We'll be right back. You're watching the RP Show on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's overtime. Final segment of the program today. That'll wake you up if you were dozing off watching this show. It tends to happen. I do want to pass this along from our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Kids are out of school this week, I guess. Well, they are in America. I don't know if they are in the States or in Canada, but I feel like they are. Either way, there's a player development camp, kids development camp this Friday at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. $99 only to watch the kids and have them come down and play at Overtime Hockey Lanes. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination. And on Friday, they'll take your kid off your hands from 9 till 3. Show them some shooting techniques and more than anything, have a lot of fun. Oh, those, I'm jealous. Drop your kids or grandkids off there and they'll make a bunch of new friends. That's the way it's supposed to go. Check them out at overtimehl.ca. Look them up on Google and give them a call. Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street, Northeast, Calgary. Oh, thank you, Laverne of the Frontier City writes in, just pointing this out for the hockey fans. He says the CHL USA Prospects Challenge tonight from Lethbridge. Thank you, Laverne, for pointing that out for the hockey fans out there. John at Edmonton. Man, we got a lot of Canadian viewers today. What a shock. John at Edmonton says the best NHL team plays tonight, and it's the only game, and it's the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, well, a month ago, John, you wrote in and said, what's wrong with the Oilers? And now you're saying they're the best team? It's hard to keep up. I guess we do the breakaway picks. I'm going to pick the Oilers to win at home tonight. Okay? You heard it here first. There's only one game. They were saying this morning it's the calm before the storm because there are 15 games in the NHL on Wednesday. I have had a bunch of notes here, some of which I got to, most I did not. We will be on the air on Thursday, and the Canadian viewers are going, why wouldn't you? Because it's U.S. Thanksgiving on Thursday, but we'll be on the air across Game Plus TV and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Group. We'll have some special guests for you on that day and all the rest. But the one thing is the U.S. Thanksgiving adage. We talked about this earlier on in hour one. In the hockey world, I picked up on this once I started covering the NHL full time. They say, if you are in a playoff spot at U.S. Thanksgiving, which is this Thursday, and we say U.S. Thanksgiving because the Canadian Thanksgiving is celebrated 5 weeks before. But If you're in a playoff spot on this Thursday every year, 80% of those teams will get in. I used to get all excited about that. A lot of fans did. And then I realized that doesn't mean a damn thing, especially the way the standings are popping in and out now. Less than a week ago, the Tampa Bay Lightning were the owners of the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. As of today, they're the first place team in the Atlantic Division. So it doesn't mean anything. Fun to talk about, but like most analytics, means nothing. I did want to mention this, and we talk more and more football as the week goes along, and it quite appropriately leads up to Football Friday, which incidentally, I won't be on this week because I'll be traveling. But maybe we'll talk about it Thursday, maybe even Wednesday, but shitter. It's a longer conversation than we have time for now. But the guy, what does he do? First NFL start, only goes into Las Vegas, throws for over 200 yards, leads the Browns to a convincing victory over the Raiders. And he says after the game, I'm what they've been looking for, or I'm what they've been waiting for, whatever the statement was. And to be honest, I'm pulling for the kid. I've always been a Deion Sanders fan, his dad of the Dallas Cowboys. And this was the way Deion was. And the one thing that I've learned, especially over the past few years, is that the people that are confident like that, and dare I say brash, they attract a lot of people. I'm the type of person that's attracted to that. I like it. You go. Eventually, you do get kicked in the grapes. But Shitter's not there yet. But he's always going to have the haters. Sure, there's a lot of people that would say, why can't you just win and be humble about it? That's nice, but not everybody's like that. What I've realized is you're never going to turn the hater. You're never going to turn them. They'll always find a way to bring you down. And, for those that say, it was just the Raiders. What would you have said had he lost? Sports is about confidence. Life is about confidence. And I'm pulling for the young man. I mean, he was humbled on draft day. We've talked about that. Still, nobody has told me where Mel Kiper is, so I'm assuming he's disappeared ever since the meltdown on draft day, the Saturday of the NFL draft, where Shitter fell from the top 3 to the 5th round. So he's already been humbled. Didn't stop him. Comes out and beats the Raiders in Vegas. I'm pulling for it. And they have not named a starter for this week, I guess. But it'll be Shitter. By the way, Ryan McCarthy writes in, he'll be with us tomorrow from the No Credentials Required podcast. Hey, Ryan, have a good sleep tonight. You're making your RP, well, not your RP show debut, but it's been a while since you've been on. Ryan McCarthy from the No Credentials Required podcast in upstate New York. It's going to be great. He says, make it a great Tuesday, Rod Squad. You too as well, Ryan. Dag nabbit, it's been fun today. Covered everything that I wanted to. Tony and Cochran writes in, he says, Shitter who? In a few years, he'll be a trivia question like the last Brown quarterback to win his first game. Eric Zier. BW in Edmonton says, great show, Rod. See you tomorrow. Come on, Tony, be positive. What do you got to lose? Don't you listen to us every day when we say that? Come on, go Browns. What a great show it's been. Have fun, everybody. Be good to each other. Most importantly, though, be good to yourself, because I'll guarantee you if you don't, nobody will. And thanks for joining us here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
That